Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for Crosstalking. Today, it's not going to be us, it's just going to be Bill again, talking to you about something that's kind of been obvious to me, but I noticed a lot of people, Christians and everybody else, seems to have missed about the attacks on Israel on October 7th. I started noticing a lot of changes in the way it was described in media, and that kind of perked my ears up to make me think, what are they trying to hide? And I think I have a good idea. So before we get into that, I wanted to say there's probably two ways you're going to hear this. One way you might hear what I'm about to say is that God is very vengeful. He's a jealous God, which he is. He does not appreciate worshiping of false gods. And you may hear that side of it, but the other side of it, and this is the side that I really cling to, is that God will fight your battles for you. If you have a healthy fear of God and a respect for God, and you worship him and put him first, then you're his children. And this goes for all of us, not just the Hebrews of ancient times or the Hebrews of now. It goes for Christians. It goes for every one of us, that if you put God first, he's going to put you and your needs first. God does not appreciate idolatry. He has been fighting with Israel for generations about that. And again, Israel is like us. Israel gets close to God. The people of God gets close to God, put him first, trust him, and then they get lazy. They back off. They start thinking that they can take care of things themselves, or that they can, rely on false gods, or, worship different idols, things like that. And I think that's the way each of us are. We tend to be tight with God when we need him. And when things are going good, we get lazy. So here's what the Bible has to say about worshiping false gods. Let's start off with the Ten Commandments. That's kind of where it starts. And that's in Exodus 20:17. I'm going into the King James Bible. And what Exodus has to say about the Ten Commandments is the beginning of the Ten Commandments. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is of heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is the water underneath the earth. And thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. And that's, the last part is not so much nowadays with Christ, but it certainly is. These are the biblical truths that we say we believe in. And God, right up front, says, before you start anything else, before you focus on anything else, have me as your God and not somebody else. And, as an artist, I always thought, well, a graven image, I'm an artist, I'm creating things, I've got sculptures around, things like that. But I think the key is here that it's not something you put your trust in, not something that you're bowing down to or worshiping. And I think, there are all sorts of idols, and you may say, well, who's worshiping idols today? We'll get into that in a second. But let me just touch on a few other things that the Bible has to say about idols. I mean, it's all through the Bible. It's everywhere. God is trying to work with people to explain to them that I'm God and no one else. Those are his words, not mine, obviously. So let's look at Judges 10:14. And what does God have to say there? God says, "Go and cry unto your gods, which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation." He's saying, you know, if you want to worship them, go worship them. See what you're going to get. Nothing but more trouble, probably. Let's look at Isaiah. Isaiah 45:20. "Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge, and set up the wood of their graven images, and pray unto it, a God that cannot save." Again, reiterating that these gods can do nothing for you except take your eyes off the true God, who can save you and who can redeem you. Okay, last one I'm going to read is Corinthians 10:14. "Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. Speak as to wise men and judge you what I say." Now, again, throughout the Bible, God has tried to teach people not to follow idols. And one of the most, again, you may say, we don't follow idols. I don't have an idol in my house that I bow down to or that I worship. And you can make anything into an idol. You can make money an idol. You can make love. You know, you can make your spouse into an idol. If you're putting anything above God, that becomes an idol. But there's one of the most dangerous idols, I think, in the world right now, is one that everyone thinks is friendly, and that's Buddha. You know, who could be against Buddha? He's got a big tummy. He's like Santa Claus or something. He's sweet, he's nice, but he's not. He is an idol of a false god, and if you have Buddhas in your house, this is just one example, really, but if you have an idol in your house that's a Buddha or a dragon, a Chinese dragon or something like that, and you pet it or you say, you know, "Have a great day, Buddha," or whatever, you're embodying that thing with a power that you really should reserve for God. And what you're also doing is you're opening a door for dark spirits, things that are going to pretend to be God in your life, to come into your life. And that's going to crowd out the real God. So, you know, try to get rid of those things and move them out of your life and give yourself, you know, a connection with the real God. When the media first started describing the attacks in Israel by Hamas on October 7th, they said that the music festival that was being attacked was the Nova Buddha Music Festival. And later they started calling it the Nova Fest, the Nova Music Festival, and then they quit calling it anything like that. They took Nova out of it. They certainly took Buddha out of it, and they just started calling it a peaceful music festival. Now, I am in no way saying that anyone was justified in attacking those people in Israel. That was a demonic, evil act. But God will not protect the people, His people. He's made a covenant with Israel. He's made a covenant with the people of Israel. He's essentially, they were His first love, the first people that He made a covenant with, and He's going to keep that covenant. He's not going to stand for them having an adulterous relationship in that covenant, which is worshiping a false god. Now, you can look at the photos and you can tell that these people were not just dancing to a peaceful music festival. They were dancing in front of an idol and worshiping a false god. Again, I think that that doesn't justify what happened in any way, but it does point out that God is not going to protect you from your enemies in the face of abject, adulterous behavior. God will come back to Israel. Israel will come back to God, let me put it that way. But that won't happen until after the time of Jacob's trouble. And at the end of that, they'll realize that Christ is their Messiah and they'll start calling out to Him. But before that, unfortunately, they're going to worship everything else. They're going to worship a man. You know, they're going to put a man up in the temple and say, this is God. He's answered all our prayers. He's maybe through technology, maybe through just, unreliable spiritual powers that he may have been granted. He's answered a lot of Israel's prayers. And you know what? Anytime you put anything in front of God, you got trouble. And Jacob's trouble is coming. But the good news is that Israel will come back to God, and we, as people of faith, we're following Christ and God now, and when we veer off one way or another, we try to get back on. We're all broken vessels. But anyway, I think it's important for people to think about this and realize that it's a false religion that's really at the heart of a lot of these problems. So thanks for joining me here on Crosstalking. Hope you have a wonderful, blessed rest of your week. And God willing, we'll be back with Pastor Rick and Brother Bill for more exciting cross-talking adventures.